Warning, this podcast may include discussion of violence, sexual content, or other sensitive issues. It will almost certainly include spoilers. Hello and welcome to the Between the Lines podcast. My name is Janine. I'm a library clerk at the Winkler branch of South Central Regional Library.
And I'm Jess. I'm the branch administrator of the Winkler Library.
This is a podcast where we discuss books.
The things we love, the things we hate, the things that drive us crazy. So with that, here is Book for the Week.
So today's book is called Playing the Part by Jen Turano. It is an inspirational fiction. So, the summary. Lucetta Plum is an actress on the rise in New York City, but is forced to abandon her starring role when a fan's interest turns threatening. Lucetta's widowed friend, Abigail Hart, is delighted at the opportunity to meddle in her life and promptly whisks her away to her grandson's estate to hide out. Bram Haverstein may appear to simply be a somewhat eccentric gentleman of means, but his mysterious career and a secret fascination with a certain actress mean there's much more to him than society knows. Lucetta, who has no interest in Abigail's matchmaking machinations, has the best intentions of remaining cordial but coolly distant to Bram. But when she can't ignore the strange and mysterious things going on in his house, it'll take more than good intentions to keep her from trying to discover who Bram is behind the part he plays. So,
it is book 3 in the A Class of Their Own series, so it's not the beginning of the series. That being said, each book is about a different character in this little group, so they don't have to be read in order.
Have you read the other two?
I want to say I have at some point. As I was reading it, I'm like, these names sound familiar. So
they are interesting names in this book.
It's definitely a bit more off the beaten path.
Mm-hmm. No. I wonder where she came up with them.
Baby name book?
Maybe. Like the her security guide. I don't even know how to say it. Skunkman, something along those lines. There's no N after the U, so it's not Skunkman.
It's not Skunkman.
But that's how I want to read it.
Yeah.
So.
No. Sorry. My brain's coming up with jokes now, and that's not a good idea. What did you think of the book?
So, after the first half, when I was prepping for this, I kept reading about how Jen Turano was, like, such a good comedic writer. I'm not really amused yet. I will tell you why. It feels chaotic rather than funny to me. Like,
yeah.
So, there's the whole scene with her stepfather at the beginning, which, okay, like, that was okay. That part wasn't super chaotic. That part I'm kind of like,
did I miss something? Which, to be fair, I may have, because I didn't read the other two books in the series in the last 5 to 6 years. But, yeah, it definitely starts in a bit more all over the place kind of way.
Well, I mean, so I understand, like, he made a bet, and either she's supposed to sell her family home, or he bet her in marriage to some ruffian, whatever.
Oh, we should mention this takes place in, what, 1980 or 1883?
1882, I think, is when it starts.
1882, yeah, so... Not modern day.
Yeah, no. And so then she lives with this older woman, and this older woman has this grandson who has a castle outside of the city. So she's like, well, let's go there. And on the way there, she's like, we don't have a great relationship because I don't have a great relationship with his mother. So they get there, and I guess there's a lot of women after this man. And so because he
has a castle.
Yeah. They try to turn them away. But somehow they break in, and then they're, like, shooting off cannons, and they're falling into the moat, and then the dogs are coming after her, and then there's a goat, and it's just, like, one thing after another after another.
See, I enjoyed that part.
And to me, that's very stressful. I don't like stories, or, like, when I'm watching a movie, and it's, like, one disaster after another, it stresses me out.
Okay, I thrive on that.
And I was like, what? All these things, like, one thing after another, like, let's just, like...
Take a break.
Take a chill pill. Let's have a calm conversation. And all the people are, like, angry at each other and arguing. And it was just too much for me. And not funny, in my opinion. It was just, no.
Okay, they're turned away at the gate because the two groundskeepers / guard / handyman people that work at the castle have basically been told to keep women out because of all of the girls that are trying to get him to marry her. So they switch clothes, I believe.
No.
They don't switch clothes?
Lucetta...
Either way, there's a strange amount of cross-dressing in this book.
Lucetta was dressed as a man already.
Right, yes.
And then, so they turn them away. They somehow managed to break in.
Yes, but there's also Skunkman.
Yes, so
I'm just
they-
going to call it Skunkman.
They come in from somewhere else, though.
Yeah, but they're dressed in
They're
women's
dressed
clothes.
as women. And so, like, that's supposed to be a decoy to keep them away from this guy.
Yeah, like, from what I understand, the girls dressed as guys.
I don't think that Abigail did.
Did Abigail?
I don't think so, because she said she was his grandmother, and they were like, no, you're not his grandmother.
Okay,
we
true.
know his grandmother.
Abigail's old.
Yeah.
The two young girls,
It's just-
Lucetta and I thought Henrietta as well.
Mm-mm.
No,
I don't think so. I think it was
it's
just...
strange names in this book, and I do
I
get
know.
them confused.
I think it was at the beginning just Lucetta and Abigail
Okay,
trying to get in.
but anywho, either way, they get in, and she falls into the moat. Bram jumps in after her, to save her. Turns out she can swim just fine.
Well, he thought she was a man at that point.
Yeah. And then the handymen get a wild hair and yell "charge" because they think that they've now been infiltrated, which they technically have. So they shoot off a cannon that's on the roof, which...
Even though Bram told them not to.
Even though he told them not to. And I've got to admit, I do kind of want a cannon on my roof just because... Well,
You never know.
It is a feature that is impressive. And then he pushes her back into the river.
Yes.
And then, yeah.
And then
I forget where the goat comes in.
it's after, somehow gets into her room.
Right. They go upstairs, she changes out of clothes and whatnot, and there's a goat. Yeah.
Yeah.
That
And
just wanders the castle.
And of course, Bram is instantly in love with her because he knows her from her job as an actress.
Mm-hmm.
And he has all these preconceived opinions about her that are entirely false. And,
I give you Hollywood these days.
well, I know. But that's like, it's just, of course. Of course he loves her right
That
off
kind
the
of
bat.
obsession's kind of cringy,
Yeah.
concerning.
And like...
Even more so when he's got a castle and lives by himself.
And she's obviously against it. And of course you know how it's going to turn out.
Oh, of course.
They're going to fall in love.
It's inspirational fiction
and that's
romance.
part of the reason why I struggle with inspirational fiction is because they're so predictable.
No, we're going to read a different inspirational fiction one for the podcast. It's about a serial killer, and it is gruesome as heck. I don't know how it's still classed as inspirational fiction.
What book is that?
Abomination?
Oh,
Colleen Coble?
I read that one.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
true.
not... That's not...
That one's a little creepy.
There's Christian fiction in different classes. Like,
Yeah. And Colleen Coble
this is definitely in the fluffy class.
is more suspenseful, which is why I like her.
Yes.
She's one inspirational author that I read when I read inspirational. But anyway, so there's obviously a secret regarding Bram.
Mm-hmm.
He's got some sort of secret double life, forcing him to wear an eye patch, which they really focused on a lot. Like, they talked about that eye patch a lot.
Yeah. I thought he was just wearing the eye patch for the practice for a performance later at some local theater or something.
No. He had it on for some reason. I think that's what they were going to use as the excuse for why he had it on.
Oh, okay.
Because his mom was doing some sort of theatrical thing.
Right.
And so they're like, oh, maybe we can just say that you're part of this
Yes.
thing. And that's...
It was about 1:30 in the morning when I read this book. There's many things that have floated off into the ether.
There was one part where they were talking about Mr. Skunkman.
Could be Skookman, actually.
Either way, it's
Yeah.
a tricky word to say. And they were talking about him. He always had the right tools available for whatever you needed. And that was... My
Sorry.
initial thought was, is this guy MacGyver?
Oh, wouldn't that be great?
I would make the story a little more interesting, in my opinion.
No, I'm just imagining with the MacGyver theme song, just a montage of Skunkman through the castle, but just fixing random things, and pipe burst there, and pull somebody out of the moat. Oh, that'd be hilarious. I want a 19th century MacGyver. That would be hilarious.
That would be funny. But, like, that's kind of what I'm picturing in my head now. He's just MacGyver.
He's the catch-all character.
Mm-hmm.
Like, there's always those characters where it's like, they're always there at the right time. They're not really a big part of any storyline. They're just the, oh shoot, we need somebody to rescue him. Quick, this guy's available. Throw him in.
Yeah. But, I don't know. And then Bram proposes to help Lucetta. He proposes to her to help her out of this marriage that her stepfather has gambled her into.
Mm-hmm.
Which I was like, seriously? That's your first thought?
Yeah.
Is marriage?
Considering he's rich enough to buy a castle.
Yeah. That's the other thing. I didn't know you could just buy a castle. I thought you had to inherit a castle.
What?
Aren't castles usually inherited? No?
Not necessarily.
All right. Well, you don't hear of somebody just buying a castle.
I hear of people buying castles all the time. It's a big thing in Europe.
Oh.
People buying, like, decrepit old castles and renovating them and turning them into B&Bs.
Well, I don't live
I don't
in
either,
Manitoba.
but I still know about it. Let me introduce you to the internet, Janine.
No. I want no part of it.
It is the devil's work.
Anyways.
Yes.
But that's his first thought.
Yeah.
Let's get married. You've known her for like a second.
Like, essentially, I forget the name of the guy who has the gambling debt.
Well, her stepfather has the gambling debt.
Yeah, but the guy was basically, I'll take your house or
I'll take your house
dog.
or take your stepdaughter.
Which
Let's
indicates
see.
to me that he is willing to take a monetary amount. He's not fixated on this woman. I mean, he's fixated on her, but, you know.
Silas Ruff.
Right. He could probably just be paid off. And if you're rich enough to own a castle,
Pay him off.
yeah, pay him the money and let this poor woman go.
Yeah, exactly.
But then we wouldn't have a story.
No, we sure wouldn't.
Then we rocked up to the castle, he wrote a check, and we turned around and gave it to the guy and lived happily ever after.
Yeah.
Which,
That doesn't make for interesting reading.
no. More fun, though, if the goat that runs the castle eats the check. You never know.
You just really love this goat.
Yes.
But also, I mean, it was interesting that it's not usually the guy who falls first in these types of books either. That's a lesser.
Not usually,
So,
but, I mean, he also does have the weird obsession with her, so...
yeah, that is true.
That part is rather okay.
Yeah. So,
I don't know. It's more funny, quirky than it is funny, haha.
okay. Well,
If you like cannons and goats, you'll like the book. Let's be real, that's a weird Venn diagram to have. So,
yes, that is true. I'm not convinced yet.
well, we don't know what his big secret is yet.
No,
So,
it could come together in the end. I know for our blog we've had a couple of reviews on her books. I think for sure one. I think maybe two.
okay.
And so, yeah, they've both been very good. So I was like, okay, this could be a good book.
She's definitely on the lighter side of inspirational fiction.
Yeah.
Like, it's not overly religious. It's not overly... there's a lot of suspense Christian fiction. Definitely not that.
No. And not Amish. So if you don't like Amish.
Not Amish, yeah. That's the thing, too. It takes place in 1980... or 18... It's not 1980s. I keep saying that. It takes place in 1880s New York. There's not a whole lot of Christian fiction books that take place in that era.
Yeah.
Although, now that I'm thinking, I know the book that we should have done for this. There's one about the World Fair in Chicago.
Yeah, Secrets of Sloane House, I think is called.
Nope.
No?
Different one.
Not that one? Not by Shelley Shepherd Gray?
Nope.
Okay. Because that one is about the World's Fair. So.
Somebody.
D. Henderson?
Not D. I'm gonna look it up. It's gonna be bugging me now.
Yeah.
But that one's really interesting from a historical point of view.
Okay.
But that is not what we're discussing today.
No, but now I have
Sorry.
to know what it is because...
I think it's called It Happened at the Fair.
Oh.
Deanne Gist. Gist?
How do you
It
spell
Happened
it?
at the Fair. Gist.
Yes.
That one's really interesting.
Okay. Yeah, like this... I don't know that there's a lot of, like, historical significance in this book to the setting.
No. It's more just... It's not often you get this particular setting in this particular historical era
Like, I
in
don't
Christian fiction.
think that it has much to do with the actual story itself.
No, not really.
So, it's just that that's the time the author chose.
Yeah,
So, as far as that goes, like, this book could take place at any time.
true.
Probably.
Although, the fact that she is in theatre and is still considered an actual human being. Like,
Yes.
it's not... It's in that age before... It's in the weird time before... After theatre work was considered as lowly for the peasant. Or for women of ill repute. Not quite to that degree, obviously, but it wasn't something you aspire to necessarily.
Right.
It was kind of a look down upon. And especially early 1920s, early, 1910s, where it was like, oh my word, you're a movie star! And it really became something revered, whereas it's kind of an interesting time in terms of theater.
Yeah,
So,
that's true. And I guess the cross-dressing parts wouldn't be as interesting if the book was set in current times.
No, that is like, oh, she's wearing pants. Oh dear.
Yeah.
Can I see her ankles? Oh, I must have her. I'm sorry, it's ridiculous.
Personally, I would probably like to read more about her life as an actress.
Yeah.
And maybe you get more of that in the first 2 books of the series. I'm not sure, because I haven't read them.
From what I remember, the first 2 books, one of the characters just keeps jumping out of moving carriages and freaking the guy out.
Ah,
That's the main thing that stands out.
okay.
When she was done with him, had enough of whatever he was yapping on about, he should just jump out of the carriage, no matter how fast they were going. And he lost his mind several times.
Yeah.
We haven't actually discussed much of the book itself yet. The character development is fairly flat at the moment.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's more quirky situations and goats eating things than any kind of... I'm not invested in the characters yet.
Yeah. Like, I mean, I think for some of the characters, like Lucetta and Abigail, you're supposed to know them already, right? Because this is the 3rd book. So I think
A
that
lot of the intro stuff has been done.
the author assumes that you've read the others.
But even for Bram, like...
Yeah.
Eh.
Well, you know that he takes in animals. I can't think of the word. Animals that are nobody else wants.
He rescues animals.
He's an animal. Yes, he rescues animals. He's got a motley crew of animals at his castle. Why are you looking at me like that?
I don't know. He's just giving me Beauty and the Beast vibes. Strange guy.
Because he
in
has a castle.
with some kind of deformity. Beautiful woman shows up.
He didn't have a
Dating the Beast.
deformity.
We don't know. You don't know what's going on with the eye patch.
Well, he took it off. They said it was perfectly normal under there.
That's what you think.
Okay.
Maybe that's the mystery. That was
Well,
fun.
and there
But
was,
like, she has to be saved by her father who got her into this problem. It's very much Beauty and the Beast vibes. Plus a goat.
there's no goat in Beauty and the Beast.
That's why I said plus a goat.
Oh. Well, I don't know that I would agree.
Really? It's basically just a rewrite. Less cannons in Beauty and the Beast, surprisingly.
Less canon.
I don't
Yeah.
know. It's, I don't know. It reminds me of Beauty and the Beast.
Okay. Well, you're entitled to that.
I'm entitled to that reminder.
Yeah, I'm not fully invested in this one yet.
No.
I think I need less chaos, but also something like to
These-
really grip me.
All the chaos is kind of stuck into one spot.
Yeah, but it was a good chunk of the first half.
Yeah, but then it kind of went, okay, now we're just living.
Yeah, that's true.
Which, living is boring.
But also, I was like, I just need a break from this chaos. So that's, you
It
know,
was good that they toned it down a bit.
Yeah, because it was a lot there
Yeah.
for a while.
It was everything all at once.
Yeah.
Which was entertaining in its own way. But I would not want to read an entire book of that.
No.
Like, forget it. But it is also at the point where if I put it down right now and didn't read part 2, I wouldn't miss it.
Yeah, I mean, part of me wants to know what happens because I want to know what Bram's got going on,
Yeah.
what he's hiding.
Thing is, he doesn't interest me as a character.
No, but also the bloody sword and the jewels.
The what's what are
The bloody sword and the jewels.
Oh,
I want to know what that's about.
I always want to know what bloody swords are about. But like, you know, there's some books that you put down for whatever reason, and it still just bothers you years later.
Mm-hmm.
This one wouldn't.
I don't normally not finish books, so I don't really have that problem.
I finished 90%, 99% of books that I read, but there are some where it's just I didn't for whatever reason, and it still bugs me years later. I'm gonna be a crazy person in the old folks' home raving about all these books.
Well, the last one that I didn't finish was a James Patterson.
That's
I
valid though. It's James Patterson.
Didn't miss it. I also feel like they've made reference to something about her face a few times, and I don't. Maybe I'm misreading things, but there seems to be a secret about her also, Lucetta.
I didn't catch that, but again, the aforementioned 2 o'clock in the morning thing.
Yeah. I can't remember where it was. I felt like there was a couple of times though. Anyway, yeah. I don't remember where it was, so
Well, I'm sure we'll find out if it's anything major in the second half.
yeah. But it's funny because on the cover of the book you only ever see her like you
Yeah,
don't see
but
her
that's-
full face.
Very Christian fiction, inspirational fiction
Yeah, I guess that's true.
style. Like, they love half faces.
But why? Do they love women with deformities?
No, you never know. Maybe it's some kind of equal opportunity modeling program. But like, oftentimes it is half a face, a turned away face, the back of a head, you know, that kind of thing. Anyway, do we have anything else productive to say about this book? We're basically done.
Well, I can tell you a little bit about the author, Jen Turano.
That would be excellent.
Jen Turano has been named one of the funniest voices in inspirational romance by Booklist. I disagree so far.
I would say quirky, not funny.
She is a USA Today bestselling author known for her quirky historical romances set in the Gilded Age.
Now that I would agree.
So, there you go. That tells you a little bit about her. And I am having a hard time finding the quirky, funny side of this book yet.
Again, you have to like goats and cannons.
Well, liking neither of those things, I guess I'm out of them. You know, maybe the second half will surprise me. So I do there are a few things that I kind of want to know what the deal is. So I am looking forward to finishing.
I think the second half's going to be interesting because so far there hasn't really been a villain per se. Like Silas Ruff.
There's been an off-screen villain.
There's been an off-screen villain, but nothing villainy has happened.
Yeah.
The most villainy thing that's happened is he tried to shoot her with cannon and tried to drown her twice. And that she fell into a moat and his staff shot the cannon.
Yes.
But there hasn't been any kind of mystery element.
The bloody sword.
Okay, there's been a mystery element, but there hasn't been a thriller element. There's no villain yet.
Right.
Who's doing villainy things. Right now they suspect he's going to do villainy things, but he hasn't actually done anything villainy.
Well, it's because they're hiding from him. He doesn't know where they are. They're well hidden at the castle.
Yeah, really? If I was hiding out from somebody, it wouldn't be in a castle.
No. That seems like
a poor hiding choice.
Yeah. One other thing I do want to say. Abigail fancies herself a matchmaker, which to me just means meddler.
Yes.
She's a busybody.
Matchmakers annoy the heck out of me. Keep your nose in your own business. Stop trying to force people together that don't want to be together.
Exactly.
Pause off.
Pause off.
just stay out of my life.
Agreed. I don't know. Matchmaker equals meddler equals busybody equals annoying.
Yep. But I mean, she's an aristocratic woman in 1880.
Yeah.
She doesn't exactly have a day job.
No, that's true. She doesn't have anything better to do. Read a book, woman.
Her ideas. Put notions in her head.
No, don't want that.
No. A woman with notions is dangerous.
Yes, absolutely.
No, it'll be interesting to see where it goes. And I hope there's more of a villainy element to it for the second half.
Yeah. I'm looking for some excitement. Chaos-less excitement, if that is possible.
Is it?
I don't maybe
you
a
want
different
the chaos stretched out over a long period of time as opposed to all in one.
Maybe. This was a lot of chaos where stuff got messed up or I don't know. Anyway.
Very rarely do you find neat and tidy chaos.
I know. That's why I don't like chaos. It stresses me out. So.
Well, I'm sure the second half will be interesting, and we'll be back with the second half once we've read the second half.
And we're back with part 2 of Playing the Part. So, any thoughts, Jess, on part 2?
They have a cannon, and they fire it off at every single available opportunity.
Yes, they do.
Every time. It's oh, somebody's here. Fire off the cannon. Oh, I think I saw somebody. Fire off the cannon. Hey, it's Tuesday. Fire off the cannon.
The cannon is a little excessive.
To be fair, if I had a cannon, I would be using it too. But it still seems a bit much.
I mean, never having had a cannon, I don't really know. But,
Would you fire off a cannon? If you had a cannon, would you fire it off every time somebody came to visit?
No. I might have used it when we first moved into our house and the neighborhood kids would play on our yard. Just to scare them off a little, but...
I can see the headlines now. Crazy woman fires cannon at children.
I wouldn't have fired it at them.
Just above their heads to freak them out.
Well, just in the vicinity of the children. No. No, that's not... No, not something I would do. But that just, goes to my point from the first half of just chaos. This book is just chaos. It's one chaotic scene after another, and it's up and then down and then up and then down. And I at one point I think I was still maybe 50 to 100 pages from the end, and I was I feel like we've hit the climax of the book already.
Yeah.
And then nope. And then there's more.
And there's still just a lot after that.
Yeah. And I was well, what the heck? And it was just so I will say the second half, I was sort of like, okay, fine, this book's not horrible.
You resigned yourself to your fate.
But I still feel like it was just chaos all the time.
There was a lot of action without there being a whole ton of plot.
And can't we just have like a normal Tuesday where nothing happens?
No, we have to fire off the cannon.
I guess so. So, yeah, that for me was like, yeah, was a lot of chaos.
What are your thoughts on the book other than just chaos?
Other than that, yeah, I mean, it's your typical, like, inspirational, fictional novel, I feel like.
It's fluffy.
It's fluffy, and then it's like, oh, we gotta throw in a mention of God here, just so this could be classified as inspirational. Like, it wasn't a lot.
It felt a little bit like they were told by the publisher you have to mention God 5 times in order for this to be classed as inspirational, and they're just kind of like, oh, shoot.
Yeah.
We'll sprinkle in a few gods, it'll be fine.
Yeah, like, it wasn't a huge focus of the novel, for sure.
No, like,
So,
if you didn't know that it was inspirational fiction, you never would have really picked up on it.
No. So if you're looking for something that's more, like, a lot of God talk, you're not going to find that in this book.
No,
For
it's
sure.
not going to challenge your theological views.
No, it's really not. I mean, most inspirational fiction won't challenge your views, but...
No, definitely not, but...
But also, yeah, it's not... Like, it's just sort of, yeah, randomly thrown in where, oh, we need to talk about God because it's supposed to be a God book.
Yeah.
You know?
It's supposed to be a God book.
Well...
We should put the inspirational fiction section. These are supposed to be God books.
But it was almost like an afterthought.
It did feel very much like an afterthought.
Is the word I think that I was looking for.
Yeah.
But, yeah. So that was another thing that I was like, well, I mean, it's okay. It's a clean read, I guess, if you're looking for...
Yeah. Although he does kiss her in the silverware polishing room, which is scandalous.
That's such a scandal. I didn't know that kissing was such a scandal back then.
I didn't know that silver polishing rooms were a thing.
I know, right?
I kind of want one.
He must have had a lot of silver. Do you have enough silver to warrant a silver
No.
polishing room?
But if I had a silver polishing room, I'd buy a couple suits of armor because that's
Well,
just what you do.
why not, right?
Exactly.
And you could afford them because if you could afford a room for polishing your silver, you could afford suits of
Exactly.
armor, I assume.
And then I'd get a cannon to defend said room because
Well,
everybody wants a suit of armor.
Well, not me. But
Okay. I want a suit of armor.
maybe everybody else does. Maybe I'm just the anomaly. But
Wouldn't it be kind of fun, though, to have a suit of armor in your house? And when guests come over, just don't mention it.
yeah.
Just, like, standing there beside the linen closet and then just never mention it. This is why I'm not allowed to be rich. I would just be weird.
So, on that vein, when I was a student in college, the Hudson's Bay downtown went out of business, and so they were selling off, like, everything. So, I got a mannequin leg. Not a full mannequin, just a leg. It was clear, it was hollow, and I don't know, it was, like, super cheap, and I bought it kind of as a joke, and it became this thing. And so, yes, I had a...
Oh, good.
Eventually, I used it to store all my spare change.
Nice.
So, anyways...
You really had a hollow leg.
I had a hollow leg. That's true.
That's great.
Not quite a suit of armor, but
But the beginning's a one.
The
You could have
beginnings.
built on that.
could have.
Yeah.
Yeah. Somewhere out there, a mannequin is missing its leg. No.
Probably the rest of it, too.
Anyway,
Yeah.
another thing I thought of when I was I felt like when I was reading this book, it was trying too hard to be funny, in my opinion.
It didn't come naturally.
It didn't. To me, it didn't anyways. And I was, like, waiting for the parts where I'm going to laugh because I kept hearing how Jen Turano is, like, this big, like, humorous writer,
Well, that's
you know.
the thing. You look up reviews of her, and it's all about the humor.
Yeah, like, one of the funniest voices in inspirational romance. Well, for me...
Okay, have you read the rest of Inspirational Romance? She does stick out as a funny one. It's not that she's the funniest author ever. It's that she's funny in relation to the rest of the inspirational fiction.
Okay. Well, when you look at it like that, fine. But, yeah, I don't know. For me, it wasn't... It was...
You're never going to be rolling on the floor laughing with this book.
Nope.
No.
I have read funnier.
Definitely.
So...
I will say, I have zero patience for the whole, you were found in a room together kissing, even though it's silverware polishing room and nothing happened.
Yeah.
Thus, you must get married.
Yes.
No.
Well, he wanted to marry her anyways, right from the beginning, so...
Yeah, he's a tad eager on that one.
He really was. He didn't even know her.
No.
Or
He's just obsessed with her.
Yeah.
To be fair, he's an author, and authors have their muses. But.
Yes. And I also felt like they kind of threw that fact in there, like, really nonchalantly at the beginning. Like, when they said that he was a writer, it was all of a sudden, like, blah, 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 writer, and then it just kept going, and I was like, what?
Yeah, and then it turns out it's a big secret.
And there was, like, nothing.
Yeah, no, it's kind of just...
When they first mentioned it. It
yeah.
became a bigger deal after, but it was not... When it was first mentioned, it was just kind of tossed in. So...
I don't know. His character is just a bit odd.
Yeah.
Like, they're going for the whole mysterious hermit thing.
Yeah, kind of.
And I'm not sure that they hit that. Like, I don't know.
Yeah. Well, hermit, but also not, because he had, like, a decent amount of staff.
Yeah.
Who he seemed to have a good relationship with. Like, a
Your
different...
classic rich hermit where you're alone with your... all by yourself with your butler and 20 maids.
But, like, he seemed to have a good relationship with his staff.
Well, yeah, that was kind of one of the things that his character did, was he rescued
Yeah.
people with iffy backgrounds and just needed a bit of a change of pace from city life kind of a thing.
Yeah. But it wasn't like your typical, what you would call, like, upstairs, downstairs kind of relationship, right? Like...
I'm pretty sure that all goes out the window when you start tying your staff to the railroad tracks that you have in your dungeon.
Making them test out torture devices.
Yes.
See, that part, too, is also a bit weird to me. Like...
That part I'm going... Okay, so in order for you to write, you have to be literally surrounded by whatever you're writing about. Thank God he's writing gothic novels, not serial killer books.
Yes.
Like...
Yes, that is a good point.
I mean, processes are processes. I'm sure everybody's got a few weird ones, but...
Yes.
That being said, if he's that dedicated to research, I applaud him, because there's a lot of people that aren't, and that does irk me. And then there's the people that are too dedicated to their research and like, no, I want you to know that I put research into this book, where it's like every vehicle, the make, model, year is mentioned every time it comes up, where it's like, we get it.
Yeah.
You researched.
Yes.
Step away.
Yes. I don't know, like, as far as inspirational books go, it's probably not the worst one I've ever read.
No.
But also, as most of them are, quite predictable.
Yes. I mean, she's kidnapped.
Yeah, that part was like, oh.
Right out his front door.
Yeah.
Which does make me wonder what the kidnapper's plan was, if she wasn't the one to open the door.
Yes. And also, where was the cannon when the kidnappers came?
Exactly.
Like,
they use the cannon every other time.
Exactly. So...
I mean, even the villain. Like, the villain was your classic opera coat-wearing, Snidely Whiplash character.
Mm-hmm.
Like, delusional, obsessed, rich.
Yeah.
No concept of reality.
Yes.
Again, when they rescue her, though, from Snidely Whiplash, because I forget what his name is, they dynamite the door open. She's kept in a hotel room, apartment room kind of thing that's been painted viciously pink. That's a thing now, vicious pink. And rather than... Like, this is presumably just a normal door. There's been no indication that it's an armored door, a metal door, or any other kind of door.
Just a door.
Just a door. Normal, regular wooden door with presumably a regular lock, because there's guards and stuff like that around. They don't try to pick the lock. There's no attempt to, hey, try the handle, see if it's open. No, they just go straight to dynamite.
Yes. But that's, that's what a lot of this book is, right to the extreme.
Yeah.
You know?
They just blow things up constantly.
Yeah. Intruders, fire the cannon. We gotta rescue her, get the dynamite.
Exactly. And, it's dynamite. There's no thought to, I wonder where she is in the room. Hey, get back, we're gonna dynamite the door open.
That's true. It's just like...
They could be blowing her up for all they know, but they're like, got some dynamite, let's try this.
Oh, yeah.
It's not... There's no logic there.
I know. That's the thing. It was just chaos and, overreacting to the extreme.
Completely.
The entire book. I mean, as far as that goes, pacing-wise, it did...
Oh, it kept you moving.
It kept moving, yeah. So that was... It did not drag, that's for sure. But I feel the need to read the other two books in the series?
No.
No, not really. So...
If you're looking for a little bit of, light, fluffy, sort of inspirational fiction, but not really, this is this book for you.
Yeah.
And if you really want to know about how to dynamite a door open. Oh.
Or you like cannons.
Or you like cannons. Yeah, but there's not even details on make or model of cannon.
No, that's true. It's just like, let's just blow things up.
Yeah. There's no reference to the 9-pound cannon, 2-pound cannon, swivel gun. I need details.
See, I don't know what any of that means, so.
I like naval books, so I do.
I mean, I just assumed there was only one type of cannon.
Bless your heart.
Yes. I don't know. You drop the thing in and you light the fuse and kapow.
No.
No?
Not at all how it works.
Okay. That's how they do it on Bugs Bunny.
Let's just all assume this is not a Bugs Bunny cannon.
You look like you really want to pat me on the head right now.
Just a little bit.
Those are the vibes I'm getting from you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Any other thoughts on the book or characters?
There was a twist that I wasn't expecting in that Silas escaped, and then they had to go chase him down again.
Yeah, that's true.
But thinking back on it makes perfect sense, because the whole Nigel and her mother thing was never resolved. So of course they had to have an excuse to go deal with her mother.
Yes, her mother sounds like a real special lady.
Oh, piece of work, that one.
Yep.
But I will say, the proposal, I don't know what the heck he was thinking.
Hanging upside down?
Hanging upside down, and as I propose to you, you have to cut me free. Oh, by the way, we're doing this on stage in front of everybody.
Yeah. I'm not going to give you an opportunity to say no.
If it was me, I would have just left him hanging there. I'm sorry. I hate public proposals. Do not try and socially force me into it.
Yeah.
And what the heck are you doing? I don't want a bunch of strangers. This is my personal moment. Go away.
Yeah. No, I totally agree with you there, because I feel like, too, if you're not... Like, if you're expecting a proposal and that's what you want, okay, I guess. But even then, that's sort of a private thing. Like,
Yeah.
I don't need the whole world to be in on
No.
that. And if you're not 100% sure that the other person is going to say yes, that's a pretty big gamble.
Honestly, if I was proposed to in public, I'd say no on principle. If you don't know me well enough to know that I would hate being proposed to in public, the answer is no anyway.
Yes, that's true.
However, I know. If you hang yourself upside down and I have the option of just walking away and leaving you there with your face turning red, I might actually be fine with that.
But the answer would still be no.
Probably, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
That part, I'm just like, really?
I know. And right in the middle of the play.
Yeah. No.
You just gotta disrupt everything. Like, that's what's...
Well, that's the thing. We can't just go through a normal scene. No, it has to be disrupted by something.
Yeah. Yeah. It's just a lot for me.
Yeah.
So...
Oh, yeah. I don't know. It was an interesting book. You never really knew what the heck was going to happen next. It was predictable in a lot of ways. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, they just like, oh yeah, we're going to just throw random stuff in. Oh, and the ghosts and the jewelry thing, that was just kind of like...
Yeah.
Random.
Yep.
Like, oh, it's the housekeeper.
Yeah, it was this whole other subplot that...
Was never fully explored.
No. I mean, they could have done a lot more with that too, but...
Yeah.
That would have just added to the chaos, so...
Well, it did. Well, like, that's the thing. Like, the mysterious element of it wasn't.
Yes. Do not disagree.
The housekeeper did it. Oh, dear.
Well, I knew there was something sketchy about her from the beginning.
Oh,
so
pretty obvious.
It was very obvious. So I don't know that I love that either, when the sketchy person is sketchy right from the get-go.
Yeah.
And you know that there's something happening there.
And, like, there was no effort in trying to figure out who it was, like, at all. I don't know.
Yeah. That part seemed like kind of an afterthought also.
A little bit like, we're wrapping it up. Oh, shoot, I forgot about this.
Yeah.
Gotta quickly stick it in there somewhere.
Could have just edited out the other part.
You'd think. But word count. And maybe God was mentioned in one of those other parts that I had to keep it into.
Maybe.
Have the God count.
That's true. The God count. Oh, yes.
Any other thoughts on the book before we put it to bed, never to speak of it again?
I don't think so. I do have a few facts about the time.
By all means.
So, the book was set in the Gilded Age, which was a time of rapid economic growth in the United States, where the rapid expansion of industrialization led to a wage growth of up to 60%.
Oof.
Yeah, I know, hey? That's wild. But it was also a time of abject poverty as millions of immigrants poured into the country. So I guess, like, everybody was coming because they heard America was the place to be, right? So, yeah. So it's kind of crazy. Like, you have wages going up and, like, super rich and then the super poor, and not entirely
Why does that feel like now?
unlike now. Yeah. The wage growth of 60% does sound appealing, but
Providing you're one of the rich people,
yes.
not one of the poor people.
Yeah. So, yeah. The late 1800s saw an influx of women into careers in theater, and they were directly responsible for the rise in popularity of theater.
Who could ever imagine that I don't want to go to a play
Where
where there's a guy wearing a dress and going, "Oh, my Lanta." Like, that'll be entertaining a time
might
or
be
two,
funny.
but it gets pretty old pretty quick.
Yes. Working in the theater was not always glamorous, though, as women were not always paid fairly for their work and experienced long layoffs in the off-season. They also experienced a competitive and unfriendly work environment where jealousy was often prevalent. For all the apparent drawbacks of life on stage, there was also glamour, excitement, and the public admiration that so many women saw as appealing. The theater lured women to its audience as well as its professional ranks, and in doing so grew as an industry and gave women who were normally held to jobs that were unrewarding, both economically and personally, an opportunity to make a go of it and become a star. So I thought that was kind of interesting also. And also, like, this doesn't really mention it, and I don't know, but I always assumed that women who were in the theater back then were, like, considered to be...
Women of ill repute.
Yes. So I don't...
Yeah.
Like, it kind of talks about that, like, it touches on that, like, very slightly in the book.
In the silver polishing room, where she's going, "What reputation? I haven't seen my reputation in 10 years. I don't have to marry you. It's fine. Go away."
Yeah. So it doesn't really address that too much. It touches on it, like, just briefly, but that... I always just sort of, you know, like, the women who were in theater were seen as less than, or, like...
Yeah. Well, the thing is, there
floozies.
Floozies.
Sorry.
That's a word you don't hear very often. Floozies.
I know. It's a fun word, though.
It is. There had to be a transition at some point between the... If you're an actress, you are a woman of ill repute, and now where it's like, you're an actress, we must worship at your feet.
Mm-hmm.
So at some point there had to be a switch.
Mm-hmm.
And it kind of feels like the Gilded Age was kind of where it just started to turn a bit.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yep.
silent film really did its bit, but...
But yeah, so I thought that was kind of interesting about the time and the theater and all of that.
I mean, a lot of it does still sound the same. We're not paid the same, and we don't have the same work environment.
Yeah, lots of jealousy and competitiveness between women.
We're living in the 1800s, and we didn't even know it.
Yeah. Times have changed, and yet not so much.
Yeah,
So,
that's how history goes.
yeah. So,
But unfortunately now it's not acceptable for me to have a cannon and fire it off every time I see somebody.
sadly, no. Maybe you can, like, sculpt one, a pretend one.
Oh, I have.
Oh,
Multiple times.
okay then.
Yeah.
Wow. On that note.
I made a ship in a bottle. It's got a full broadside of cannons.
Oh boy.
Yeah. Just random fact. Oh, yeah. Do you think you'll read another Christian fiction book by this author at all, even if it's not part of the series?
It probably wouldn't be my first pick. I don't read a ton of inspirational fiction because I find it predictable and I don't like that.
It depends very much on which subgenre of Christian fiction you read.
So I know that there is more and more coming out that seems a little more like action-y, thriller-y.
Well, like, you've got, like, the cop Christian fiction, and you've got the Amish Christian fiction, and you've got the nothing else is going on, it's just a romance Christian fiction, and then you got historic Christian fiction. So you got different...
Yeah.
And, I mean, you even have some serial killer thriller Christian fiction.
Yeah.
So...
But this author, I don't know if I would read her again, to be honest. How about you?
I have read some of her other books. I would say this is not her greatest book. Not her worst book. Not her greatest book. She's fine if you're looking for something that's fluffy and you don't have to get invested in it in any way, shape, or form. Mm-hmm. And you may giggle once at the goat in the canon.
You may giggle at those.
One might giggle.
One might giggle. This one did not.
But,
Yeah.
it would have to really, really interest me. Like, I'm not invested in the Gilded Age at all.
No.
If this author wrote one about, say, the Chicago World Fair, I'd be there. Because I think it's fascinating.
Mm-hmm.
But, no.
Yes. Yeah, I agree.
Well, we've summed that up nicely. We've read it, we wouldn't do it again, and now we move on. Anything else to say, Janine?
I think you just summed it up real good there.
There's no mysterious turtle death, so I have nothing else to rant about. Alright, we'll see you on the next Between the Lines podcast. Bye.
Bye. So that's our show for this week. Thank you all for listening.
And thank you to our editor, Linda, for editing this into a cohesive mess.
And we'll see you next time. Reminder, all of the content here is our personal opinions.
Except for the facts. Facts are facts. Tell us what you think in the comments.
Yes, let us know.